It's Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Emmy Comia, with analyst Evan Murray, UATV Sports Director Joey Petrello, and analyst Salva Carmona. Dorm Room Sports Chat starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Emmy Comia, and I'm joined tonight by our three analysts, Evan Murray, Joey Petrello, and filling in for Salva Carmona tonight is UATV sports reporter Danny Passavoy. Tonight, we talk about Arizona football's huge win over Southern California, discuss the World Series, and give you a Wildcat sports report, along with an NFL West Coast score rundown. Finally, we'll finish off with 30 seconds. Last night, Arizona football defied all odds by upsetting number 9 Southern California at home. The win put them back in the top 25. The Wildcats are now number 24 in the nation. Danny, this was one of the biggest upsets Arizona has pulled off in a long time. Elaborate on how they were able to do it.
Well, it starts with turnovers. 5 turnovers for the Trojans in the game compared to only 1 for the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona was able to pick off Matt Barkley twice in the game, caused 3 turnovers, forced fumbles, really set the tone for this game. Another thing Arizona did pretty well was limit the stupid mistakes. And they did face a few here and there, but USC, penalties killed them. Turnovers killed them. Arizona was able to win this game because they limited the turnovers, limited the penalties. That's why I think they won this game, and I think a lot of it was causing turnovers, getting the ball back, killing the USC momentum late in the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on, obviously turnovers were a huge factor because we got 16 points off of USC's turnovers. I don't agree with you in the fact that penalties did not hurt us. We had 14 penalties and we had 129 yards in penalties, obviously, so that was a huge thing. Also, Marquise Flowers just got named National Linebacker of the Week. He was huge for our team. He got 2 interceptions and recovered 1 fumble. So that was huge. I do agree with you on USC's turnovers. Killed them and helped us.
Well, you two brought up good points, and I agree with you both on those. But I think another thing that helped them win this game was they actually finished. And before, they've been able to be beating teams that are ranked much higher than them. See the Oregon State game where they're leading in the fourth quarter. They've got it, but then right at the end, they don't finish and they let in a huge score. And USC was threatening. They were driving up the field with under a minute to go. But then I think the moment in the game where I thought we're really going to do this is where USC burned a ton of time off the clock. And when Matt Barkley took a shot deep down the field for the end zone, then there was just 5 seconds left. I thought they were going to try to go for a field goal because they were down 39-36, right. But USC was thinking touchdown. I don't know why, because they were driving up the field with those 15-yard plays. Not the case with the throwing it down the field though, and on the big tries and didn't work out for them. So the Wildcats actually were able to finish.
Right, and what made me a little nervous though, because with about 5 minutes left, they were 11 points ahead of USC. So, I mean, obviously they came in and scored a touchdown in the last 5 minutes. We kind of, you almost kind of expect that. They're not just going to let 5 minutes run out and not do anything, at least USC. So, I mean, it was close almost and then the Hail Mary to, of course it was to Lee, or just a bunch of defenders and Lee. But, so we got, I don't know if we didn't get lucky on that, but he had a great game, so glad we got away from that scary moment.
And when USC was driving up the field, it was almost kind of like I said, the Oregon State game and also Stanford. They had the ability to beat Stanford. Absolutely. They were there, but they didn't finish against Stanford. Against USC, they actually finished. So I think that was huge for the Wildcats.
How much of the blame falls on Lane Kiffin? Now, penalties killed Trojans, like we said, and the final 2 plays, both Hail Marys, instead of the second play, maybe going for a 15-yard pass, get into a field goal.
Just get in the field. Their kicker, Haidari, is a great kicker. I don't know why they wouldn't try to go for the field goal. They were going for end zone shots. And I just think at that point, especially, guys, Matt Barkley didn't look at his best at all.
No.
He looked rattled, and I just think that there's no reason to try to take shots for the end zone when you're down by 3 and you're having a lot of success just doing those 15-yard plays.
Right, because like you said in the beginning, it was USC's mistakes and the coaching mistakes, because who doesn't go for a field goal?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand you're trying to win a game, but when you're throwing Hail Marys, when your quarterback really hasn't had a great game, I mean...
And also, the Wildcats were playing kind of like a prevent defense, having a lot of defenders back, which is supposed to prevent the long shots, and it opens up the field for those 10-yard, 15-yard plays more, but... Obviously, USC wasn't able to take advantage of that in the end of things, and the Wildcats came out with a win.
All right, guys, a big name in the game, Matt Scott. He left the game late in the fourth quarter with concussion-like symptoms. After taking a hit, he was throwing up on the field, and the coaches decided to keep him in for the rest of that offensive drive. Should the coaches have taken him out right after he was throwing up?
I mean, player safety-wise, yeah, they should have. But honestly, I was watching it on TV, actually. I wasn't at the game. So he looked alert. He looked fine, at least for those plays. I understand that he wasn't very coherent when they were doing tests on him after they pulled him out and put Denker in. But, I mean, I can't say I'm too upset about it considering he threw a touchdown to David Richards. So that's my opinion on it. I mean, I guess I could see where the scrutiny comes in for Rich Rod, but... I'm not too sad about it.
Well, it's not Rich Rod's decision. And in the press conference, he was talking to the trainers, and it's not his choice whether he can go back in the game. However, I was on the sideline for when he was throwing up. I was really right there, and he was just joking around right after he was throwing up. Like he looked perfectly fine, and even Rich Rod said after the game that was one of his best passes of the game right after he throws up. And I want to say throw up is an exact indicator of a concussion. So that's why they didn't yank him immediately.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, you can kind of tell that he wasn't completely there.
And then he said that Matt Scott, because he tweeted about it, he said, I was just literally so exhausted. And I guess someone else talked to him and said that he hadn't run that much since high school. Obviously, he had 100 rushing yards, 369 passing yards, so he had a great game, and so, I mean, he was exhausted.
Well, I think it was also a thing where they asked Matt Scott, do you want to come out? And obviously he's going to say no, this is the biggest game of his life, and he's leading the charge. So I think that had to do with it. Also, I don't mind them keeping him in after he threw up, but also that was really bad the next play when he was running and he took another hit to the head. Two USC defenders collided into him, and it looked like his head got hit again, and he looked woozy after that. He did throw the touchdown pass, which was good, but, you know, it was unsafe. It was unsafe.
It was.
But still, you know, I'm sure Matt Scott will be back next week. Hopefully his head will be fine. Yeah, RG3 had concussion-like symptoms the other week. He was able to come back and play. So you know, I think Matt Scott will be fine, and keeping him in eventually won't hurt the Wildcats too much. But if he has to miss time in the long run, then, you know, it
gonna be mad.
Then it was definitely a good idea to take him out.
Yeah.
And but if he keeps playing, then it's totally fine.
If I remember correctly, the next play was a run by the quarterback, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you surprised at Rich Rod? I think that was kind of an indicator that Rich Rod thought he was perfectly fine. He saw nothing wrong with it, or else I wouldn't have ran with him.
Yeah, I guess Rich Rod just thought he was fine, and Matt Scott, like you said, if he's joking around on the sideline, that kind of indicates that he is okay, even though he might have not been. You're just trying to play tough. It was the biggest game of his life, so I can understand why he would not want to come out.
I'd be faking it if I was Matt Scott, too, so I'd be like, I'm good.
All right, Joey, Rich Rodriguez has already made an enormous impact on the program. Who's your Pac-12 Coach of the Year?
Well, of course, you could say guys like Chip Kelly. He's usually the guy that's conversed about the most in this subject. He's got Oregon at 8-0 this season. You can also take a look at Jim Mora. He's got UCLA off to a 6-2 start. They upset, at the time, number 16, Nebraska. Nebraska now number 20, but at the time they were 16 when UCLA beat them. So Jim Mora has led UCLA to some impressive wins. And Chip Kelly's resume this season speaks for itself. But Rich Rod inherited a team that went 4-8 last season, lost a lot of its best players to the NFL, including Nick Foles, Jaron Kreiner. You could go on, and he's inherited this team and made them so much better overall than they were last year. So I think that Rich Rod, considering the talent that he started out with, compared to Chip Kelly or Jim Mora, I'd say you got to give it to Rich Rod.
I agree because I know everyone wants to talk. I mean, 5-3 isn't an amazing record, but we've played. It's been reported we have played the second toughest schedule in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Rich Rod has led us there. We almost beat Oregon State and Stanford. So we have we lost, but at the end of the day,
but we were good enough to beat them.
Exactly. And he's taken us there. Our defense is still thin. It hasn't changed. Like, it's not like we inherited players throughout the year and all of a sudden we're getting better on defense. It's no, like, Rich Rod has definitely coached that up.
It's the new attitude. It's the offensive play calling. I think the defensive play calling as well. And he's just done a fantastic job with, I think, even less talent than we had last year.
Yeah.
How about the conditioning that Arizona's in this
and
year?
that
Right.
too. The thing about this team, like you're saying with the conditioning, they are so much more conditioned than they were last year, and I feel like that's what has made them be able to be in those games at the end with teams like USC, Stanford, Oregon State, because they have the team just as winded by the end of the game.
Exactly.
How about Riley over at Oregon State, though? Oregon State, a top 10 team out of really nowhere, out of thin air. Obviously, they fell off. Sean Mannion, came back, threw 4 picks this week. But they're still a very good team, and they beat us. They're a very good offensive team, very offensively sound. They're a top 10 team in the nation. I think a lot has to be credited to the coaching over there. However, Rich Rod, like you said, we could very well be 7-1. And a lot of that is a testament to a new coach. This is by far his best first year at a program, and it's showing.
Oh, easily.
All right, when DRC returns, we'll talk baseball and the World Series. Don't change the channel.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
Where do you feel the warmth of my gratitude? I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1. I'm already fighting me, so what's another one?
Come game time, pressure falls on the shoulders of this season's drum major.
For an entire week, there's golfing, food, drinks, and entertainment that doesn't stop when the sun goes down.
If you are not yet registered to vote, here's what an Arizona voter registration form looks like.
Bundle up, Wildcats. Winter is almost here. Reporting from the UA Mall for Wildcats, I'm Shay Sorensen.
Welcome back to Dorm Room Sports Chat. Tonight is Game 4 of the World Series, and the San Francisco Giants have not a 3-0 lead. They're now 3-3, and it's the top of the 7th. So, Evan, who do you think will come out on top?
I think the Giants are actually going to win the game and just close out the series. So that's kind of my opinion on it. Regardless if Detroit does come up on this game, the Giants are winning the series in general, so that's where I'm at with this.
Well, you can never say never, but I think that since Detroit has the home crowd behind their back, they're down 3-0. They're extremely desperate for anything right now. I would like to think that they're going to show some life and win this game. They have the Triple Crown winner. They have a huge signing in Prince Fielder that's batting not as well as I thought he would this postseason, but he's still doing a solid job, and I think that the Tigers can show some life in this game and ultimately win it.
They've had these players the last 3 games they've lost also.
They have, but, I just would like to think that tonight they're going to come out on top.
For baseball lovers, yes, we hope that there's a longer series.
You have to kind of give that a little bit of testament to the Giants' starting pitching. They've come out and shut down this ferocious, or tamed is a better word, this ferocious Tigers lineup. Miguel Cabrera, not doing anything. He has a home run tonight, but he hasn't had any in the World Series so far. Prince Fielder not doing much. Johnny Peralta, Alex Avila, not showing up. I think the Tigers have been shut out in this World Series twice consecutively for one of the first times in Tigers history. So I think a lot of this is a testament to the Giants' starting pitching.
They've run into some very good pitching, like you said, the Tigers have. And I honestly think that San Francisco has a better bullpen than Detroit because especially with the emergence of Tim Lincecum, he's been fantastic out of the bullpen as of late. But like I said, I would like to think that with all the money they spent this offseason, with as talented as that lineup is, they would show some life tonight at least and win this game.
Danny, if the Tigers win tonight, they will still have to win another 3 in a row. Can they pull off the greatest comeback in the history of the World Series?
If this World Series has taught us anything, is that yes, they can. The Giants, I think they've come back 6 times in elimination games to get to the World Series. However, the World Series, there's just one team that has that spark, and I think you could find that a lot of times in history. The Cardinals had it last year. The Giants had it in 2010. This year, the Giants have it, and they find a way to win games, and they find a way to close it out. I, too, feel like they'll close it out tonight. They have best bullpen left in the World Series. They have Lincecum, who's playing out of his mind. It was a brilliant move by Bruce Bochy to move him to the bullpen. They also have Romo closing it out, who has that same fire as Mott of last year. He has the same fire as Brian Wilson of 2010. I don't see the Tigers coming back. I think the Giants just have that magic this year, and I think they close it out tonight.
I don't see them coming back either. I think that, the Boston Red Sox in 2004 were able to do it, but the Tigers are completely different than that Red Sox team, and I just don't see it happening for them. Like I said, I think tonight, especially tie at 3 in the 7th inning, maybe they could spark something tonight there at home. But when they return to San Francisco, if they win tonight, when they return to San Francisco, I don't see them winning the next game.
And the thing was with the Red Sox in 2004, they had that spark. And when they were down 0-3 to the Yankees, they came back and they snapped out of it. And once they hit the World Series, there was no chance they were losing that series.
Yeah, the Tigers haven't really gone through that adversity that Boston has. They came back to take over the Chicago White Sox spot in the final spot at the end of the season. So they've done that in that sense. So they've been part of a comeback like that before. But this is the World Series. I think the San Francisco crowd is just going to be too electric if they return there. So all the momentum is on the Giants side, and I think the manager, Bruce Bochy, is brilliant, who we're going to talk about next here. But yeah, I don't see the Tigers winning this.
All right, Joey, if the Giants win tonight, they win their 2nd World Series in 3 seasons. Both of those coming under the lead of manager Bruce Bochy. Does Bochy deserve a spot in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, if he wins, I would say so. Bruce Bochy was the 1996 Manager of the Year for the San Diego Padres. He took them to the World Series in '98, where they were swept by the New York Yankees. Still, that's a World Series appearance. He won in 2010 with the Giants. If he wins again, he has another ring. And also note that he has 1,454 career wins. That's 23rd all time. And I don't see him retiring after this season. So let him manage a few more, move up in the spots and all-time managerial wins. Maybe even get another ring if he could bring the right players together. And I would say, yeah, that's a Hall of Fame career.
Bruce Bochy has been absolutely unbelievable with what he's been able to do with this Giants team. Melky Cabrera, probably the NL MVP until he went out. Taken out of your lineup, you're still in the World Series. Moving Tim Lincecum, Cy Young winning pitcher, to the bullpen.
You lose Brian Wilson, and that's no problem for Bruce Bochy. Yeah.
All this stuff, this will be his 3rd appearance in the World Series. Probably have his 2nd ring after tonight. I think that's deserving of a Hall of Fame pack.
Yeah, and like I said, he's going to be managing for more than just this season. He'll be back for a few more, I'm sure. So he's going to rack up more wins. Like I said earlier, possibly even another World Series ring. So, yeah, I'd say at the end of the day, he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, stay tuned for some highlights from the USC football game and the Wildcat Sports Report, along with the NFL West Coast Rundown after this commercial break.
I'll be right there.
Thanks, cameraman. You're my hero.
Here come the drums.
Arizona football quarterback Matt Scott was named Walter Camp Player of the Week. Scott racked up 469 yards with 4 touchdowns in the win over the Trojans Saturday afternoon. Arizona linebacker Marquise Flowers was recognized with a College Football Performance Award. Flowers had 2 interceptions and a forced fumble to go with his 7 tackles in the 39-36 victory. He was named National Linebacker of the Week. Running back Kadeem Carey and receiver Austin Hill both received honorable mentions. Arizona hits the road this weekend for a 7:30 kickoff against UCLA. The number 17 Arizona Wildcats hockey team got their first home victory. They beat visiting number 20 Eastern Michigan 4-3. Arizona hosts number 2 ASU next weekend at the Tucson Convention Center. Arizona's cross-country teams competed in conference championships this weekend. Men's leading runner Lowy Lalang won his second Pac-12 title. Elvin Cabet was the highest-placing female Wildcat, taking 3rd. Women's volleyball dropped 2 away matches over the weekend. They lost both games, going 0-3 against Stanford and the Cal Bears. Lastly, U of A women's soccer beat out the visiting Utah Utes 1-0 earlier today. Now for the NFL West Coast Rundown. The Oakland Raiders racked up a 26-17 win over AFC West Coast rival Kansas City. And the San Diego Chargers rolled up their third consecutive loss this season. The Browns beat out the Bolts at Cleveland 7-6. The New Orleans Saints are in Denver right now, taking on the Broncos. And, the Denver Broncos are up 24-7. No, the score is 24-7 in the third quarter. The Arizona Cardinals will host top defensive team, the San Francisco 49ers, for Monday Night Football tomorrow. Analysts, the NFL season is well underway. We are now in Week 8. Who are your picks for the midseason MVP and Rookie of the Year?
I think Rookie of the Year has to go to Robert Griffin right now. Offensively, of course. 450 yards on the ground, playing great, playing very smart football, and he was able to come back from his concussion, lead the team to a few wins. They've kind of had a down week in the last few weeks, but he's a very sound offensive football player, and he makes the right plays, and he's very accurate. He's leading all rookies with over 70% accuracy on the year, and he's the purest passing dual-threat quarterback I have ever seen in this league.
Yeah, he averages 59.5 yards rushing per game, which is absolutely incredible for a quarterback. And he's also passing the ball very well. As you said, he's got a 97.7 passer rating, I think. And he's doing very well. But anyways, I think that the MVP is going to be Matt Ryan. Ryan this year, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 67.8 completion percentage, and a 98.8 passer rating. He also has the Falcons at 7-0. And week in and week out, I've just been impressed by Matt Ryan. He's finally becoming that clutch quarterback that the Falcons thought he was going to be at the draft. And Ryan is a guy who has never won a playoff game before, but I can almost guarantee you folks that will change by the end of this season.
I completely agree with Ryan as my offensive MVP. At defensive MVP, clearly J.J. Watt on the Houston Texans. This guy is unbelievable against the pass. He's got more tip passes than teams combined. He's stone cold against the run, and he will get after your quarterback in a hurry. This guy has been unbelievable and clearly the defensive MVP so far this season.
And the defensive player of the year last year was Terrell Suggs. He's just coming back from an injury, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I agree.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll finish off the show with 30 seconds. Don't change the channel.
Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hoff. Get Hoff with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
It's that time, everyone. Each analyst will have 30 seconds to discuss a sports topic of their choosing. Evan, you're up first. You have 30 seconds.
All right, well, as normal, I will talk about basketball, and I have to talk about the Thunder trade with the Houston Rockets. They traded James Harden, Cole Aldrich, Rock Chalk, Daquan Cook, and Lazar Hayward for Jeremy Lamb, not Jeremy Lin, Kevin Martin, 2 first-round picks, and a second-round pick. I think the Thunder got the good end of this deal. James Harden was great, fell off in the finals, okay. But at the end of the day, Kevin Martin averages 14 points a game, and Jeremy Lamb, obviously a rookie, I think he's really going to show up.
All right, thanks, Evan. Danny, you have 30 seconds.
2012 Heisman Watch. We're 9 weeks into the college football season, and it's pretty clear who the top of the pack is right now. My number one right now, Colin Klein, quarterback for Kansas State Wildcats. Over 1,600 yards passing, over 630 yards rushing. He's got 16 touchdowns on the ground, 12 touchdowns in the air. This guy's been unbelievable. At number two, Monty Te'o, linebacker, Notre Dame, 80 tackles, 5 picks, added another one in a huge game against Oklahoma this past weekend. Game of the week. Notre Dame came out on top because of his defensive play.
Joey, you have 30 seconds.
Well, ESPN is doing this thing on their website that they're featuring with NHL 13, the video game. They're simulating it throughout the season to try to compensate for this NHL lockout. Well, a video game is not real hockey, and I don't know why they're taking it so seriously in that saying, like, oh, this guy's on a cold streak. Maybe the Kings are still on a championship hangover. They're at the bottom of the league. That's another thing. I don't know why they have the Kings simulated at the bottom of the league. They also have the New York Rangers, the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Pittsburgh Penguins near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. What? That would not happen in the real NHL. They need to get rid of this. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Dorm Room Sports Chat. We'll be back next week, so don't miss out.